Order, please. The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Today we learned that the new hospital will be built using a design, build, finance, maintain P3 model. The evidence against the use of this model is so overwhelming. The schools the government built on this model cost the public $228 million to buy back. In
Order,
Ontario,
please. The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In Ontario, the Royal Ottawa Hospital cost an extra $88 million to build using a P3. The Brampton Civic cost $200 million more to build on this model. In the face of all the evidence that's available, why in the world has the Premier decided to rely on private companies to design, build, finance and maintain the QE2?
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Honourable Member for the question. We compared, Mr. Speaker, what it would be if we continued to do the traditional build against what it is, Mr. Speaker, on a P3 project. The reports that the Honourable Member had referenced have been looked to through Deloitte, Mr. Speaker. They continue to bring back a recommendation to what would be the best value for the taxpayers of this province, Mr. Speaker, ensure that we could do it as quickly as possible. We've accepted that, Mr. Speaker. Portions of this related to the current footprint, the activity that would take place inside of those particular footprints. So, example, at the HI site on the 3rd and 5th floor, that will be done in the traditional build. But all of the new build on that particular footprint in Clayton Park will be done through a P3 model, Mr. Speaker. We're looking forward to ensuring that project goes down the road so that Nova Scotians get the healthcare infrastructure they deserve, Mr. Speaker. It has gone through successive political parties who did not have the courage to stand up and answer the call and ensure that our citizens and our families had state-of-the-art facilities.
The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Mr. Speaker, the Premier can remonstrate about this till the cows come home twice. It does not change the fact that internationally there is great concern and criticism about the use of this model in projects, especially of hospital sort, because in these models the government loses control over the design. Under this model, the successful proponent is in control of the design, which will therefore not be in the hands of the people who know Nova Scotia health care best. Why would the Premier adopt a model for redeveloping the QE2 that will limit our control of the project's design?
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's exactly why we're doing the P3 model, Mr. Speaker. It is actually our healthcare providers who will help us put the design together, Mr. Speaker. And when we hand that design over to the P3 proponent, Mr. Speaker, we expect them to deliver on the amount they have delivered to us. The Honourable Member hits an important point. When capital projects have been built under successive governments, under every political party in this province, they have not come in on time or on budget. All the Honourable Member needs to do is go look at the Truro Hospital, Mr. Speaker, that the Conservative Party said they could build for $92 million, Mr. Speaker, and by the time they were done, it was doubled.
The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
There is a body of national evidence about this. DBFM P3 hospital projects, the Premier will know, have been significantly troubled in BC, have been very troubled in Ontario, and one of the serious problems with them is that on this model of hospital construction, the government loses the ability to adjust to healthcare changes in the future. Over that period of 30 years, as healthcare changes, it will be so much more—
The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It will be so much more difficult for us to adapt the model that is built because we won't own the infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, nobody thinks health care in Nova Scotia over the next 20, 25, 30 years is going to be the same as it is today. So why would the Premier lock us into a hospital redevelopment model that's going to tie our hands when it comes to making future health care changes?
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I wish the NDP Premier who had an opportunity had actually listened to the Honourable Member, because he's absolutely right. Healthcare is changing across our province, Mr. Speaker. Why does he want to be stuck in the past when it comes to our infrastructure? Our infrastructure needs to be modernized. It needs to reflect the reality of today and the next 50 years. That's why healthcare providers stood with us today talking about this important investment. A game changer was word by Dr. Bethune, Mr. Speaker. It was Dr. Bethune and the people down at the Dixon Centre who said, We need to put the cancer care on this particular site because it matters to patients and it will talk about the future. That's exactly why we've adopted this model. It's exactly why we're going to continue to move forward.